Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Make sure you all get settled in for this good old review. We are reviewing Black Mafia Family, aka BMF, season 1, episode 4, and it was titled Heroes. And right after this, I'm going to be catching up with episode 5. So it's going to be a back to back for you guys today. Now, make sure you guys like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, please, and thank you very much. Now, first off, let me start off with at the beginning of the show when they started off with a flashback of Meech. You know, he was looking up to Pat then, and it was around the time when he was probably, I think it was a preteen, maybe pre-teenager, and he was looking up to Pat because at that time he also didn't have a lot of money, like their family still is dealing with right now. And he was trying to impress the little ladies in the neighborhood. Now, Pat, he's the big man of the city, big money, flashy cars, expensive jewelry, and fur coats, etc., etc. Somebody who Meech desperately wanted to be like back in the day. Now, back to present time, Meech, he was had moved out to the burbs because, as we saw in the last episode, his father had got so angry about him paying their mortgage without his approval, and it wasn't a chance in hell that his father would still let him live at home under his roof. Other than that, things have been really, really good for the brothers. So much so that they still didn't understand why Pat was so against allowing them to buy their re-up outright. He was also very adamant about his decision, regardless of how much money his best clients was bringing in. Then to come to find out, besides getting high on his own supply, according to Rock, Pat hasn't been doing so well in the drug game, which is why he has been micromanaging the hell out of Meech and Terry. So for the time being, in order to buy outright, they've got the choice of K9 from Brewster's or Pat's man Rock for a new supplier. Terry thought that they should holler at Rock, while Meech, on the other hand, thought it was best to buy from K9. Hell no, that nigga's from Brewster's, and you know how grimy those projects niggas be. The Rocks are best bet. And as far as him being past dude, it's just business. Ain't shit personal about it. And that's what Terry said to his brother Meech. But against Terry's decision, or against Terry's suggestion, Meech chose to work with K9 because he figured, even though it's just business, Pat was not only a mentor or their boss, you know, he was the one who put them on, you know, he was the one who helped them come up in the game. And he was also, more importantly, family, at least so they thought, because he sure wasn't acting like family in this episode. But anyway, Meech didn't want to step too hard on Pat's toes by messing around with Rock. Then later on, while shopping at the mall with his girlfriend, his baby sister, and his little baby, Terry was approached by Lamar. Had Terry not been with his family when Lamar tossed that money on the floor in front of him, I'm sure a fight would have broken out. Instead, after the offensive gesture, Lamar walked off saying that Terry's son has his eyes. We all know that was some shade. We all know that was a dig at Terry for losing vision in one of his eyes. But speaking of Terry's eyes, his parents have hired a lawyer to file a malpractice lawsuit against the hospital. Terry's father, Charles, is positive that the surgeon made a mistake, even though the hospital won't admit to it. Charles also might not have been certain that they chose the right lawyers, but what he was certain about, or what he was sure about, was not moving in back with his family. And as far as Lamar was concerned, he wasn't only causing trouble at the mall. He later showed up at the factory site hating on their setup, being that only a select group of factory workers knew about the stone burgers. Lamar insisted that they all try one. He was like, have y'all heard about the stone burgers? Everybody should try one. You get a burger, you get a burger. They was all running up there. I want a stone burger. Give me two with a cola on the side. They had no idea that those stone burgers, request has some product in them that ain't burger. But yeah, of course, Kato, she wasn't down to just sell drugs to anybody. So even though they were about to lose some money, Kato made the executive decision to shut down for the moment. At least that's what she made it appear to look like, since she is working with Lamar. And thanks to Lamar receiving intel from Kato, he was able to rob the new stash location. The robbery and the shootout were all going down while Meech and Terry were being kidnapped by Pat. Pat, again, being the big man in the city, knows all and sees all. So it didn't take him long to find out what the brothers and his man Rock were up to. Boy, that scene right there. Rock, he was definitely right about Pat trying to micromanage the brothers. And after Pat so brutally murdered him with that shovel right in front of them, I guess Meech was right after all. He did suggest K9 over Rock, even though K9 stood them up. But what are the brothers going to do now? Because buying their product outright is the least of their problems. That new Drano task force that Detective Brian had warned about, they were literally making waves in the disappearances of J-Mo and Fennell. After pulling J-Mo's body from the lake, Detective Brian, he popped up at the church of Terry's son's christening service to bring Meech in for questioning. But when Brian couldn't produce a warrant at their father's request, Meech chose, nah, bro, I think I'm going to stay right here with my family. He chose to stay put. Now, Meech did later show up on Brian's porch, making it clear with a nice payment that they still need him just as much as he still needs them. But back to the christening. Their father, Charles, he was actually going to join them for brunch. That was until he noticed his son's expensive matching Benzes parked outside of the church, and disgusted, of course, by obviously knowing what both of his sons are doing, he changed his mind. And again, the brothers, they still have bigger problems. They need to find out who the mole is in their camp, because only five people, I say again, in their camp knew exactly where the new stash location was. Meech, he was right to point fingers at Kato, despite what everyone else was thinking. As for Kato, I don't know what she was thinking, y'all, about working with Lamar. She almost literally got her head blown off this episode by him when he put that gun in her mouth. And it was actually a smart move on Kato to fire a few shots towards Lamar during the robbery to make it not look set up. Did he see it that way though? Hell no. Because she's messing with an irrational, a very irrational, crazy, psychotic, mental, deranged Lamar, who spared her life this time. Again, this is the second time. But do you think it would be worse for her to be killed by Lamar versus being killed by the Flannery brothers? Y'all let me know. Let me know. But out of this episode, I guess the only positive thing that came out of this episode was Terry's son being christened. The service, of course, was conducted by none other than Pastor Swift, aka Snoop Dogg. Snoop Doggy Dog, looking like a whole Pastor Pimp. But yeah, it was conducted by Snoop. Pastor Swift. Pastor Swift. But despite, Terry having flashbacks during the ceremony of Pat murdering Rock, the service was actually really beautiful. It was really nice. Other than that, Terry finally met up with Big L, the supplier, who was pretty impressed by him earlier at the bar. Big L, you see, they thought was a dude. Remember he said dude was supposed to be wearing blue at the bar? So they thought the dude had stood them up, but that dude is actually a woman who is willing to give them a chance so long as her only point of contact is Terry. So will this result in Terry and me switching positions, in regard to who's actually running things? Because even though the brothers were together, even though Meech said they're going to split everything 50-50, we all know Meech was the one who was running everything and making the big decisions, right? The big kahuna. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Please, again, make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Please and thank you very much. And on that note, stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times. And remember, don't only look after yourself, but make it a point to look after someone else. Bye.